Hi everybody, Chelsea here from Resource Depot. I'm at the home of one of our Waste to Wonder artists, Ana Hentze, and we're going to talk a little bit with her about her art and her two pieces she has in our recent exhibition. She's Gone Fishing and Dancing Clouds.
Hello, I'm Ana Hentze. I'm a local artist. I really like to get inspired by nature. I really enjoy the beach, the Florida weather, the flowers, and like to put all these pieces together in my works of art. I have been painting for over 30 years and experimenting with different techniques. I find it interesting to use found objects and experiment with things that would be unusual that can leave marks like rubber bands, rice, or salt left on top of a painting, and then kind of see and let the painting speak to me what it wants to be.
And your pieces in the exhibition, how would you describe those to the viewer?
The pieces came to be because one day I walked into Resource Depot, and actually before the Call of Artists, I found this bag of wool ends or mill ends that was there all knotted in kind of like the forgotten section in the back. And at first I didn't take it. I'm trying to clean up my life and stuff. So I left, but the idea stayed in my head, and I literally had to turn around after I had driven a few blocks because it was really calling to me. It was a challenge to unravel all this and do something. So when the call for artists came, I knew immediately that I was going to use these materials that I had rescued and pair them with something else. That week I went on a walk on the beach and I found a lure. And it was really nice. It still had the hooks attached that were very rusted, completely raveled into a bunch of fishing line. And I felt that that fish kind of wanted to be free, and that the wool that I had found could be like the foam from the ocean, and that this fish literally wanted to like jump out of there to like a better life. So with the materials I later found at Resource Depot, like a very soft wool and blue, and then different ends in different colors, the idea of like having this fish jump into the rainbow came to be. So that piece is done with completely recycled materials, including some of those nylon buoy pieces. And the second piece, Dancing Clouds, is similar to what I normally do, except that this time I used the fabric. I wanted the fabric to be more ethereal than gluing it on canvas. So I suspended it between two panes of glass so that it could create layers, like the clouds create layers in the sky. All these fabrics, most of them came from Resource Depot, but some I had. Some are a very old linen shirt that I wore a lot when my kids were babies, and time has made it so transparent that that's like the pink part of the fabric in that piece.
Yeah, it's a lovely piece, and I think the methods that you used really relayed that feeling of the layers of clouds that definitely comes through. So you work with some found materials, so you found this a sort of natural process. Did you find anything odd about working with them or something new, or it was familiar?
Both. It was familiar and unfamiliar. I do like a natural process. I do like natural dyed stuff. I have ventured into like doing indigo and cochineal and dyeing with marigold and vinegar and trying to be more environmentally conscious, because I discovered that when we were disposing of stuff, especially textiles that were going into landfills, and not only creating garbage, but also creating pollution for the environment because of their materials and dyes. So I do dye my own fabrics, and I started venturing into painting and dyeing. And then at some point they had to come together. I was creating a lot of fabric as I was creating a lot of paintings, and it's like, okay, how can we use both and be a little bit more ecologically conscious? So I do dye a lot of silk with natural processes and indigo, and then cut the pieces for that. So that process was kind of known to me. Suspending them wasn't, and that kind of was the challenge for that one. How do I really go from one end to the other without showing pieces that cut from one end to the other, but I have no way of grabbing it on the other side? So some had to be, I had to use soluble fabric and put it on the sewing machine to like sew the end and add threads to it so that there is a thread going to the other side so I can hold the piece. So that was challenging. And for the other piece, attaching the fish was actually really challenging because in my head, he needed to be like sideways, jumping into the rainbow, but the lure had the holes at the bottom. And when I put it into the loom, it wouldn't it wouldn't move the other way. So it was a challenge to try to hold it in a way that it wouldn't be turned on its belly and really kind of fly in the way I wanted it. The loom was challenging because I didn't want to purchase another loom. I own 3 table looms already, but I wanted a bigger piece. So I came up with the idea of using an old frame, an old aluminum frame from an old painting, and warping it on that one. But what was challenging about that is that I discovered I was confusing the back with the front and grabbing threads that were wrong. So I had to put like a cardboard in between. And also what was challenging on working with the discarded mill ends is that they were hard on my fingers. I really didn't expect that. I thought it was going to be softer and nicer like knitting. And it was hard and kind of difficult to really mold them to what I wanted.
So lots of problem solving with those strange things.
Yes, like things the way you think they're gonna come out, really. In the end, there is a lot of adjusting. I wanted the bottom part to look more like a cascade, but since the wool was woven before and I was like cringy, it looks a little bit more like ramen noodles. And I had to adjust to like shorter fringes just because they were not taming down the way I envisioned them cascading there. So yes, it was a lot of like trial and error just because I wanted to use those materials.
Do you think it's important for artists to think about how their art practices affect the environment?
Absolutely, absolutely. If we're just going to produce stuff that is made out of non-recyclable materials or not taking the environment into consideration, we're really not evolving. We're just creating stuff that has no future. Art needs to recycle itself. Art needs to rethink the way we use things, and we don't need to create more things. We just need to reuse more things.
Definitely true. What inspires you the most when you make art?
Hmm. A lot of things, but mainly kind of freedom. The horizon. It's always that. Like, I love the beach because I can see the horizon and know that there is more there. I just cannot see it. So the freedom, the wind, the air, the smell of the beach, and like the flowers, the birds singing. So more kind of relating to something that I don't feel we live enough. Because even when we go to the beach, we have to do something. Like we are exercising or walking or reading a book or suntanning, or we like rarely just be like, just appreciate like being there. So that's really what inspires me, and the colors. I love the blue of the ocean. I love the colors of the flowers. When like a bougainvillea blooms and it's just like you don't even see leaves and it's just like pink explosion. That's really like, it makes me stop for a moment and see, and then I want to capture that moment.
Is there anything else you'd like the audience to know about?
Reduce, reuse, and recycle. We really need to rethink what we buy. Like, we need to consume less and we need to be happier with less. I think that we are enough in ourselves. We don't need more stuff. It all is inside of us. We just need to see it.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chelsea.
I hope everyone goes and sees the exhibition Waste to Wonder.
Yes, please. Support your local artists.